Good luck dealing with Moto today. Well, to set a low bar, it's going to be difficult for it to be worse than our last run with elves. Moto reminding us that it wasn't, in fact, the reason that I was playing through wine, that Moto is a pile of garbage. Artwork, optional cards, and other crap like that still happens even when I'm streaming from Windows computer, because Moto is just bad software. People who don't understand that would blame my setup, but you know, it's not my setup's fault that Moto's a pile of garbage. That's just Magic Online being Magic Online. Thank you, Sunshine, I think. Thoughts on the metagame breakdown from the MC? I mean, it's expected, right? So something that's relevant to think about for the MC is that the fact that deck lists are due a week in advance actually discourages innovation. And the reason why I say that is because with deck lists being due this far out, if you, what is up, Moto? Stop peak motoing. With deck lists due a week out, if you found something you think is innovative, you are less inclined to you're less likely to have an advantage with something innovative, because people are going to have 4 days to like jam into your thing before the event starts, right? So while I'm glad they're providing data, I think the fact that they're providing that data so far out potentially impacts the metagame. And also, in a brand new standard format like this standard format is still fairly fresh. The fact that players had to submit deck lists like 4 days ago gives them less time to have breakthroughs. Like, even just thinking on my own testing, like, if I would have been required to submit a deck list like last Thursday or Friday, whenever they were due, and like to today, my deck list today would be different than what I would have submitted last week. They did not give players a chance to maximize themselves or maximize their time, their finding time. And I'm someone who plays Magic constantly, right? Yeah, testing never stops. Exactly. So while I understand they need them in advance to do some meaningful stuff with, they definitely should have in my opinion, they should have had the deck list deadline sooner, and they probably shouldn't have revealed the deck list until the day of, to give people who try to innovate an extra edge. Morning, Draven. So they played a Forest Deer, which this gives Forest Walk. So if we hit a land here, we're gonna surprise kill them, which is sweet. I mean, I think you can have deck lists due earlier than that. I think that's perfectly fine. If you want to say, hey, deck lists are due, 2 or 3 days before, but don't reveal them until the day before, because by revealing them 4 days out, you cut one of the biggest advantages of working on new things, basically, which in my opinion is bad. And that's as someone who's very pro share, make all the data possible, etc. So this is one of the many reasons why this archetype that we're playing right now is just incredibly bad. So something that one of the reasons why I've been pushed off of Modern so hard is because this archetype was one of my favorite decks, and they printed Modern Horizons, and Modern Horizons just slaughtered this archetype in so many different ways. They printed Wrenn and 6, they printed Plague Engineer, they printed the lava spell that deals the damage to a creature that flashes back by sacrificing a mountain. There were just like so many cards in this latest round of sets that were just like, well, these matchups that were like close or good, Lava Dart, yeah, all these matchups that were like close or even just good are now like, it's just like, well, that's unwinnable. Well, that's pretty unwinnable. They have a card that I can just never beat. Oh, that's another one where it's like pretty unwinnable. They have a card I can never beat. And the key to enjoying any format in Magic is definitely like having decks that you enjoy playing, and like, you know, having the legs kicked out from under every deck that I enjoy playing for like when Modern Horizons got printed is just, it just feels bad. Yeah, like I took the time and like I registered this deck in like multiple paper tournaments. I thought it was very, very reasonable, and it's really not anymore. I demoted it from the proven section to the fan favorite section on my website for a reason. Like it's just not good enough. Have you tried the Great Henge in Elves? All right, you're not new here. I'm just timing you out for a bad card suggestion. If you want to make a blazingly bad card suggestion, back it up with some kind of logic or reasoning. Otherwise, you could take a 10-minute. Yes, when Renin 6 can kill a creature, it's already very good. When it can kill 3 creatures, it's absurd. I agree. I think the Jund matchup was close to slightly ahead for the Elf deck previously, and with Plague Engineer and Renin 6, I would be surprised if we can ever win. Obviously, Magic, so like my opponent could draw really poorly, or they could stumble and die, or flood and die, and we could have a chance, but on average, we are going to be a huge dog in this matchup. Maybe cutting 2 lands for once is a little aggressive. Could be a quick modern day. I almost didn't put this one back in the queue. Have strong regret. Should have probably just not put it back in the queue. It's gonna be a rough morning. Hopefully it'll be a fast morning, even if it's rough. Hickahuck, thanks for 19 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And that's the tough part of it. So I already posted my schedule for this week, so I'm not going to adjust it. But starting next week, I'm going to be dropping back to 3 days of Modern per week, just because I feel like I've been super negative when we're playing Modern, because when we're playing Modern, I have to both dodge issues with the Moto client and like dodge miserable matchups and like not have a bad time in the actual format. So I prefer to shy away from making content when it's just like I feel like I'm just like nothing but frustrated, and this format makes me feel like nothing but frustrated lately. The decks that I find interesting and amusing are just like, they're bad unless we're playing against other people who are also registering very bad decks. And then whatever this is, I don't understand what the issue is with Moto like flickering in and out. I've dug into every window setting possible and turned off every effect and every other thing I can think of, and just like none of them have stopped it from happening. Yeah, the Saheeli combo deck just like never beats these Urza PO decks, and it never beats the good draws out of like Neo Shulbrand and stuff like that. So like that deck is fun and it's kind of interesting, but it's also just like dead to rights to like good decks in Modern. Thoughts on Legacy? Legacy is bad for content because nobody wants to watch it. I think the actual gameplay in Legacy is like fine. I don't think it's as good as Standard. I think it's kind of redundant on average, but I also don't think it's as bad as Modern. But from this is my job perspective, it's also not popular content. When two pieces of garbage software meet, the bugs are endless, right? Well, I was talking about this when we first fired up. Part of the issue with this MC is that this is effectively a new standard format, and they required that people submit deck lists like a week ago. Like, the deck list due date was like 4 or 5 days ago at this point. And I don't like that. That hurts innovation. Like, they cut a bunch of time. Like, it takes a lot of work to find something genuinely new. The Raja list that was uncovered in round 11 only had one Force of Negation in it. You know, like, I actually posted a picture, and like, posted a picture of a Saheeli deck list that I was like thinking about and working on. But like, I look at this and I'm like, all right, this sounds great. Like, this has a lot of cards in it that I like the idea of. But then you just like sit there and really think about it, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to get Troned, and I'm gonna have to get Neoshul branded. I'm gonna have to sit there and wait for PO to kill me, and just like all of the interest and excitement is just like kicked out of my sails. I'm gonna get turn 3 Titaned. Clipboard managers are life-changing. If you're someone that does any amount of like writing on a computer, especially, like, they are worth your time to set up. It's one of those things that you don't realize how much you'll use it until you have it. Nope, not Dismember. Damping Sphere is the one that I want. I probably want Rex Sage in this matchup too, huh? Ezuri's probably a little slow. Morning, Jin. Sounds very good. We have to go turn 1, Heritage Druid, turn 2, Elite into Damping Sphere. And then we have Shaman in the pack as a follow-up and a reasonable amount of pressure in play. Hand's a little land heavy, but one of them's a peatland, so we can cycle that out. Is Forest Walk relevant here? Not usually. So I know they had a breeding pool last game, but like the opponent's deck doesn't play fetch lands, so I don't believe Forest Walk is frequently relevant in this matchup. Unless this deck is drastically different now that it plays once, but I don't think it does. I actually think this deck is better than Humans. I think Humans is also awful. Like, I don't think this deck is good, but I think, like, if you're considering playing Humans, this deck is also better than Humans because it's more linear. And that's what Modern's about. You want to make sure you play Heritage Druid before you play Damping Sphere, because this counts spells cast before it in the turn, so if I led on this, I wouldn't be able to follow up with this because it would cost 3. What's a clipboard manager? Let me make sure there's not anything incriminating on mine. Ooh. All right, so clipboard manager these are the last like 20 things I've copy and pasted here. So basically, like, when you're someone that's like moving text around back and forth a lot, you can it remembers and tracks it for you. As a lawyer, I approve of your cautious. Yeah, like, you know, sometimes you're copying like serial keys or stuff like that too for software. Just like let's make sure we're not sharing those with the internet. All right, so what am I doing here? I think we're starting on Collected Company, and we'll see where we go from there. So they don't have anything useful for Reclamation Sage to hit. We'll drop Mystic and Elvish, or Shaman and Elvish Mystic, since I already have 2 Heritage Druids. That'll drain them. And then we can go tap, 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 tap. And this costs 4. And then we should have a pretty lethal attack set up for next turn. Relatively lethal. Did I forget my water bottle in the bathroom? I totally forgot my water bottle in the bathroom. I'll be right back. Look at that. My opponent conceded on the 3rd turn of the game. Talk about peak modern. I'm gonna show this a couple of times today because they're really sweet. But I tweeted a picture of these and I posted the subs Discord. One of the new F2K sponsors is this company called Displate. It's like it's kinda sick. You have different metal wall artwork, which is kinda neat. Really solid and beautiful. We have a Spyro the Dragon 1 hanging out in the back too. How heavy is it? I think their website has the exact weight, so I don't want to make like a random estimate of that. And actually, for hanging them, it's kind of novel. They come with 2 magnets that have sticky stuff on one side, so you stick the magnets to the wall, and then you can hang the metal thing on the magnet. So it's really easy to make sure it's like level and stuff, because you're not like tacking a screw in or anything like that. This hand might be too slow on the draw, but like I don't think I can just mulligan a good hand for looking for a Damping Sphere here. Yeah, that's another reason Elves has gotten worse. The Urza PO deck plays like 4 Engineered Explosives in the main deck as a combo piece, so it's just like, you get screwed by that too. There's just so many things in the format now. They're just like super hostile incidentally to this archetype without trying to hate on this archetype. Yeah, super durable. Would not have to worry about these things getting damaged, that's for sure. Hey, look, it's that Engineered Explosives thing we were talking about. Alright, so am I playing out this Llanowar Elves? I think I am. Because this Damping Sphere is going to make it so this doesn't, this makes colorless, so that means they won't be able to play and blow this up next turn. Yeah, the Urza deck's a big problem. It's just, decks that can kill on turn 2 should not also be able to be absurdly grindy. In my opinion, that's not how they should work. I think I just Archdruid here. Or do I Collected Company? I probably want to Archdruid because my Collected Company is pretty likely to hit one drops, and I prefer I not have extra one drops in play while this explosive is on one. What does their turn 2 combo look like? Turn 1 Emry, turn 2 Jeskai Ascendancy, kill you. Just Jeskai Ascendancy, Emry, any 0 mana artifact makes the Emry infinite arbitrarily large. They also play 8 Moxen, so like they get to make a lot of mana on the first turn. Yeah, I agree, Nifty. I'd be very surprised if that deck is optimized at this point. This Damping Sphere might steal the game. Maybe we're just supposed to have 4 of this card in the sideboard, with Amulet being popular now. With the printing of Once Upon a Time. I could see that being the correct answer. I have like 1 Phyrexian Revoker on the board right now. It's very possible that should just be a 4th Damping Sphere. This card's just, like, very good against Storm. It's just, like, great against all the matchups where you're trying to race. Bobble or double Mox, sure. I don't understand your question, Boozy. Yes, there appears to have been very little innovation at the tournament where people's innovation would be spoiled 4 days in advance by other people knowing what they were going to play. Weird. So my opponent's currently struggling to have enough they don't have any colored mana at the moment because all of these are just making colors mana from Damping Sphere. So I think I'm playing out a Damping Sphere here. I don't know, could go either way on that. I could be wrong. They're hopefully dead next turn. I guess they can go Green Source Titan here. Or they have nothing and they're dead. Yeah, I'm going to put a 4th Damping Sphere in the sideboard on the list on the website. I'm going to cut this Revoker. If I'm being honest, I haven't spent too much time looking at the deck list yet. They posted them yesterday evening, and I don't do a ton of time doing non-Magic stuff outside of streaming time. So I'll probably pour through them after I'm done being live today. But by the time they posted them, I was like out of Magic time yesterday. Part of me is wondering Like, there's got to be some kind of, like, internal line that's been set, or maybe they've already made their decision, but, like, you know, so, like, people are going to, like, freak out about Golos being, like, 42% of the field or whatever, but the question isn't what percentage of the field is it. Like, that's not the number you want to look at. The thing that's going to be relevant from this weekend is what is the win rate of the Golos decks in their non-mirror matches. So, like, even though 40% of the field is registered Golos, if Golos is only, you know, 50% in non-mirror matches, like, the deck's not actually a problem, right? Like, sure, a bunch of people registered it, but it wasn't meaningfully better. And that's why Magic statistics and a lot of the talk surrounding it is often focused on the wrong things. Like, a deck being heavily represented isn't the meaningful statistic that should dictate whether or not it's okay for that deck to exist. Performance rates are much more important and indicative of what's going on, rather than compared to, like, what amount of people have registered it. Yeah, I feel like I was genuinely surprised at how many people registered the Oko Nissa decks, because they must know something that their testing must show something that mine hasn't, and I've not tested super rigorously, so that wouldn't surprise me. But in my limited experience, the Oko Nissa decks were not good against the Golos field decks, but a bunch of really good players registered that archetype going into a field that they knew was going to be a bunch of Golos, so they must have figured out something that I didn't in my small amount of time poking at it. I assume they're just going to restart Arena after every match. That's really not true, Thorbin, and that's fake news. This is not Donald Trump's Twitter. Don't just post nonsense. They banned Splinter Twin because they wanted to shake up the Pro Tour. That's why Splinter Twin was banned. Yeah, a bunch of the deck lists were on forming deck stroke, which is wild. Yeah, Goose into Oko if you don't have Noxious Revival, or Noxious whatever it's called in your hand, you're just like, DOA. They keep pausing at my upkeep and my draw, and it's really obnoxious. See this here? How we spent 30 seconds with my opponent, like, pausing on my upkeep and pausing on my draw. This is why you can't permanently set stops on Magic Arena, just for reference. It's because of people like this opponent who are, like, using the stops like this. They wanted to avoid this experience that's very, very common on Magic the Gathering Online. I'm excited to get Damnation next turn, but definitely want to cast this Collecting Company now, so that way I don't expose it to Cryptic Command. Cavern. Hey, look, another stop on my upkeep. Sure. Fog Resolves. Yeah, they get a land drop every turn, Psychonaut. So, like, they're Assuming they're going to have a second black mana is like not super unreasonable. Hey, look, another stop in my upkeep. Personally, I'm very excited to get Snapcaster Cryptic Command Fog next turn. Alright, here's a blisteringly hot take on 3-mana Planeswalkers. The problem isn't 3-mana Planeswalkers, it's cards like this. Stop printing Llanowar Elves, Boreal Grazers, and Goose. Stop printing cards that let you play 2 lands on the first turn of the game. That's the actual issue. Magic is a game that's already incredibly play draw skewed. And when you print cards that effectively let people play 2 lands on the first turn of the game, the play draw skew becomes even more significant. Paradise Druids, Sylvan Caryatids, heck, even Farseek, Leafkin Druids, like these are cards that are perfectly and appropriately fine. I don't even think that's the problem, Zucca. I think the primary issue is the fact that you're doing these things a turn ahead of schedule. I'm gonna Boreal Druid on one, I think. Now, they can't just give you mythics after you've collected all the rares. That would cut their profit margins by way too much. Really? It's aggressive. Was there a time where 1-mana accelerants were okay in standard? No, I think they've just always been a problem. The last time we had Llanowar Elves before this Elvish Mystic, we were like turn 2ing Goblin Rabble Master, and that was also pretty not okay. Hey look, it's that card I can't beat that I keep talking about being miserable for this deck, and this deck being largely unplayable. Look at that, we found it. Alright, so we're going to cut Clan Callers. I'm going to board back in these Elvish Champions because they're a soft answer to that. I'm going to bring in 2 copies of Dismember against my opponent's control deck because that's what I have to do to have a chance. I think Llanowar Elves is also too good in Dominaria. Do you think we get a... Is there a patch today? You're saying that like there's a patch today. Is there a patch today that I didn't hear about? It doesn't list scheduled update today. As wizards do test environments like Goose and Greeds and Ochre Walker is something they should have been especially aware of. Yeah, they definitely should have been aware of. In fact, this last round of standard formats makes me wonder like So the play design team is something that they implemented during Kaladesh, or a little before that. I don't remember the exact timeline. And, like, we had a couple of good standard formats right after, like, they first started testing things. And then, like, they fell off pretty hard pretty quickly. So, like, I wonder if, like, they actually had a positive impact, or, like, they just got lucky the first time, or, like, what the deal was. Yeah, Plague Engineer. Dismembers for the card I conceded to. Yeah, the way the arena interface handles reprints is not stellar. You think pros have skewed expectations of power levels? I don't understand your question. Ooh. Yeah, standard since War was printed has been pretty hit or miss. The War Planeswalkers were a pretty big mess in my opinion. Which that could also just be because, like, they've never done a set with that many Planeswalkers before, but it also felt like there were a number of, like, pretty obvious misses. Prison cards suck. Please stop printing them. Dear WotC, prison cards suck. Please stop printing them. Hey, look, we might win another game of Magic because my opponent's deck just not doing it. Oh, this is bad. So I should have done this on their turn, and the reason for that is their deck plays Force of Negation most likely. So I could have gotten blown out by a Force of Negation here. Whereas if I do it during their upkeep, they can't force for free on their turn. Alright, so they're dead next turn. Yeah, I agree, Roth. And like we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I'm going to repeat this a lot today, I think. But the most telling thing about this event isn't the starting percentages. The thing that's going to be key to look at from this tournament is the performance rate and the win rates of the individual archetypes. Because we have complete information from this tournament, a piece of data that we're going to have is we're going to be able to look at this field where there's 40% Golos, and we're going to be able to say, what was Golos' win rate when we take out mirror matches? So how good was Golos against the non-Field of the Dead decks? We'll be able to make judgments like that can lead to more meaningful information. One of the things that we frequently... So for people that aren't familiar with my background, if you're newer to the stream, I have a master's degree in mathematics. I've taught math classes at both high school and college levels. And one of the things that we frequently do in math classes when we're trying to test students is... the easiest way to figure out if somebody knows something or if they're just kind of faking it is by including extra information in the problems, because students who don't actually understand the content that they're looking at will frequently try and use all of the numbers available to them in whatever problem they are solving. So if you put in extra numbers that are kind of distracting, you can kind of weed out the people that don't actually understand the content, because they'll try and use all the numbers, even the ones that aren't relevant. And that's super relevant in the context of statistical analysis, because people frequently get distracted or draw the wrong conclusions from the numbers that they're looking at. They're just like, look, was that a good draw, chat? I think that draw was good. They're frequently just like looking at it and trying to use every number available to them, when a lot of the times the numbers that they're looking at don't tell the story that they're looking to tell. Yeah, Silent Clearing discard spell is statistically Mardu Shadow. For sure. Do I play this? I think I do, just so I don't want it exposed to a discard spell. It's like, to dip into politics for a second, I was having a discussion with someone. It was actually a reasonable discussion that after I picked them apart, they stopped responding. So they responded to a point that I made by citing some statistics. And then I kindly pointed out to them that the statistics that they were citing didn't address the thing that I was talking about. Because people frequently, they're just like, oh, this stat validates my worldview, so I'm going to point to it and be like, this is something that says what I want it to say, so we're just like not going to worry about it. Here's a hot take on things like the Spike subreddit. Any large Magic community, regardless of how competitive it claims to be, skews further and further casual the larger the community gets. No, so that's not what that means at all, Thorbin. So Splinter Twin, when they reference pushing out similar decks, what they're referring to there is, in their opinion, Splinter Twin invalidated all other non-blue-red decks, so it reduced blue-red diversity specifically, is what that was doing, what the cause of that was. So that's what that bit referring to reducing diversity refers to. It's not by supplanting similar decks. So like that would be saying like Golos is not good. Golos has to go because it makes other Field of the Dead decks not good enough, or other ramp decks not good enough, which is not quite what Golos is doing. And Golos doesn't push mid-range out of the format. Golos pushes hard do-nothing control out of the format, which in my opinion is a good thing, because hard do-nothing control sucks to play against. I think I have to bring in a couple of Dismembers. Not only are they okay against their shadows, but my opponent probably has Plague Engineers in their sideboard. I think, actually, if they're planning to Plague Engineer me, God, maybe Elvish Clancaller is a card this deck doesn't want to play anymore. Yeah, huh? Maybe I'm supposed to just go full Elvish Champion because this is a soft counter to Plague Engineer while it's out. Yeah, that might be the case. Yeah, and another part of it is like when people talk about like things pushing other things out of the format, every good deck makes other decks unplayable. That's just how Magic and card games work. And again, I'm not saying the Golos deck might not be too good. What I'm saying is, from public-facing information that we have available, we can't definitively say that. That information to objectively and statistically analyze that is not available to us. I would believe that Wizards of the Coast, looking at their vast amounts of arena data on their back end, could say that yes, it's too good and they're going to do something about it, but that information isn't available to the public. I can't look at that and do a meaningful breakdown from an objective standpoint. Hey, Nitriac, thanks for the brand new Prime support. Welcome to Hoaglandia. I appreciate that. Hope you're having an excellent Tuesday wherever you are in the world. Most of the public analysis of people crying about Golos is because they're upset that 2 of their last 5 matches were against Golos. So obviously, they're in their sample size of 5. That means Golos is 40% of the field or whatever. Sure, debates on whether or not that information should be available or not are like completely separate. Like the case in point currently is that it's not available, so I can't do anything with it. Them's just the facts. I mean, to be fair, I feel like I've made meaningful conclusions this league about things I want to change in this deck to adjust it for the format slightly. So that's something that's like, you know, a reasonable takeaway. I also think that though, like, looking at the games that I've played in this league, like, I don't feel like I've played interesting games of Magic in this league. And, like, I'm 2-1, and that's one of the other things that's kind of put me off Modern a little bit for the time being. Like, I keep having leagues where I'm, like, winning more than I'm losing, and at the end of the day, when I finish playing the league, I'm just like, that wasn't very fun, right? Like, the games I won were because my opponent's deck just didn't do anything. This match is the first one we've had back and forth in, right? And, like, the back and forth here has mostly been, and this is the thing about Modern, right? The back and forth in Modern is my opponent saying, hey, you don't have spells to cast. Like, the interaction in this game hasn't even really been back and forth. It's my opponent casting their 4th discard spell and taking another spell out of my hand. This is another game where I'm, like, winning, but, like, I haven't really had a lot of meaningful choices in it. Do you have a particular favorite meta or standard deck from back in the day? Yeah, actually, you probably played during this format from 6 to 7 years ago. 7-ish years ago was when I first started playing competitively for the first time. RTR Innistrad standard with Temur Flash was like that was my jam. It was my favorite deck. Temur Flash with Yeva and Wolfear Avenger. Yeah, I started playing Magic. I played Magic very casually for a long time, so I first started in 2000, 2001. But I didn't start playing competitively until the end of grad school, which was around the new Phyrexia. So for a long time, we just like drafted in each other's basements and played casual constructed. I'm doing a lot of things, but I don't feel like I can make meaningful decisions. Literally, my current job is Modern. Womp womp. That was a really good set, Billum. If you're looking for good sets, by the way, if you're not familiar with my website, every single day I tag somewhere between 1 and 3 of our sets that we play as a favorite for the day. There's a lot of really good ones up on my website. Blue-white control, maybe? Could be a lot of things. This Cavern will be pretty good if they're a control deck. So they can technically path to deny me a 1/1 here, but like if they're pathing a Heritage Druid, I'm like kind of okay with that, I think. Grizzly Elf, go. I field my Cavern. Now, one thing that's a little bit awkward is in order to fit the Once Upon a Times into this mana base, I did cut a forest. It's possible that I have like one too many peatlands in this mana base and I want a third basic forest. Teferi Time Reveler. Yep. Who's excited to get instant speed Supreme Verdicted next turn? I know I am. When I really like a specific artwork, I will on occasion, but a lot of the time I don't really know. Don't watch Twitch while you drive, Repner. Select audio only mode and connect me to your Bluetooth. Be safe. Be safe out there. All right, well. Pay for Mana Leak. Yes. Huh? Do I want to cast Clan Caller this turn? I think I do. Who's got two thumbs and has never beaten a Supreme Verdict? This guy right here. Alright. Opponent apparently doesn't. Do they not have Supreme Verdict in their main? They might not. Sure. Wild. Alright, so we're going to board in, Lead the Stampede against blue-white control. That's definitely a card we are interested in having here. Ezuri is great because he can regenerate our stuff. I think Elvish Champion's a little slow in this matchup. And probably trim like one Clan Caller as well. These extra Lord effects tend to be a little bit middling because, like, if we have a big board, they're probably dead anyways. We don't need the extra attack on them. Thinking about like Plague Engineer and stuff, like Elvish Champion as opposed to Clan Caller could be a consideration. I wonder if I'm supposed to test Nettle Sentinel in this deck again. I could see that being a real decision, just because like it's a 2/2. It's like having fewer things that die to Plague Engineer. Might be something worth testing. At least at the end of the day, Elves is always decent because it's quick league. Like this is what? This is match 5, right? Yeah, we're 3-1. This is like game 2 of match 5, and we've only been live for like an hour. And I've only been playing this for like 50 minutes. We want Reclamation Sage for D-Sphere? I don't think so. Why do you think mid-range decks can keep up with Field and Standard? Questing Beast is the answer to your question. How do you feel about a possible field ban? We have a thing for that. There we go. That yay commands. Commands are great. Oh no! Oh no, not Stoneforge Mystic! How will I ever win the game now? Oh no! Oh no! Please, opponent! Mercy! Mercy, opponent! Mercy! Not Stoneforge Mystic. I guess that's a reason to bring in Rex Sage, huh? Scoop him up. Pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin. That explains why they conceded last game. If they're on a Stoneforge build, they probably don't have sweepers in their main. They might not have sweepers in their 75. They definitely, I'd be very surprised if they had them in the main. They're probably like a spell queller variation. Chat, what if they... What if they put Batterskull into play this turn? How can I ever hope to keep up? Shaman hold priority, Coco. Yeah, probably. I'm gonna lead on this, see what they do. This could get a Spellcaller out of them. Yep. So that... I definitely want my Dismembers for the third game. They're a Spellcaller Stoneforge Mystic deck. So if I cast this, I'm going to be one short. Can I finagle this so I can cast Shaman and Company this turn? Yeah, I do this, and then cast Shaman with whatever mana from Elves I get. Yeah. Drain you. Go. I mean, better's a pretty subjective metric, so like, you know, let people like what they like. Is that a good draw? So if they put Batterskull into play, they have 2 blockers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 elves right now. This is 5, 6, 7. No, I have 10. I have 10 elves. So this is putting them to 1. And then if they put Batterskull into play, they have 2 blockers. They go block this, block a 3. They go to 5. They die, right? Oh, I could also just Clan Caller and kill them though, right? Because I have 5 and 5. Is that better? That's probably better, right? Vivid Zeus, thank you for the 6 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Gosh, chat. Aren't you glad all those incredibly smart pros told you that Stoneforge Mystic would ruin Modern and it would be too powerful for this format? Aren't you incredibly glad? All right, so thoughts on this. So obviously, and this is why, again, something I frequently talk about on stream is don't focus on the results of the matches that I play. You want to focus on the takeaways and the things that we learn in the games. So things from those games that my takeaways are from today. I want to readjust my deck based on the fact that there are a lot more Lava Darts and Plague Engineer in the format. I think I want a 3rd Basic Forest just for like Path to Exile, Field of Ruin style things. I think as good as Elvish Clancaller was there, I think it's time to retire this card just because a 2-drop that just dies to that card I think is not ideal. And actually, I think I'm going to just like play play 17 lands, I think. I think 17 lands for once is probably fine. Yeah, dying to Ren 2 is also Nightmare Fuel. I agree. So I think a way to henge Ren and other things is I think for Elvish Champion is right, just because this is a Lord effect that doesn't die to those deal 1 damages. So I think that makes this card relevant. I think I want a 4th Damping Sphere for the sideboard, because Amulet Titan's a deck people are playing again, and if you see a Damping Sphere, that matchup's usually good for us. And then that leaves me 1 slot left here. Honestly, I think just like playing an Elves of Deep Shadow is probably fine. I've got 1 slot. Let's just like play a 13th 1-mana Accelerant, especially with going up to like another 3. Like playing another Accelerant on 1 seems fine. I think I'm gonna put this as the elf deck list on the website. I think this seems reasonable. 16 lands felt a little bit light, even with once felt very reasonable in the games that I played, adding a little bit of consistency. So I think this is good. Seems mostly reasonable. Yeah, Pendelhaven with the new legendary frame looks a little out of place in the land column, that's for sure. And look at that, we 4-1'd in like an hour. God bless you, elves. You might be middling, but at least you're fast. All right, let's dive on into some standard, shall we? Ooh.